This video will be my first look of the 5-star build as it exists today of the Niner RLT9 RDO. This is now my 5th RLT9 that I've owned. I've owned the steel, the alloy, and 3 different carbon models. And I just keep going back to the RLT9 RDO as my personal gravel bike. After trying a pretty decent number of gravel bikes, it's just the one that fits me the best. The ride quality is the best. It's smooth, it's fast. I just love these bikes. So I've had the 5-star build from a few years ago, and Niner does not go by model years. They'll change specs from time to time. I actually like that. Like I don't like buying a 2023 model and then having it be outdated in 24. So this one has changed. So the last 5-star build I had was Shimano GRX mechanical 2x. This one's actually SRAM Force 1x. And I am eating my words on something. I said my personal gravel bike will always be a 2x. I'm going to try 1x as my personal bike, mainly because of simplicity. I manage a fleet of personal bikes, family bikes, I have demos in, and I just am trying to make things simpler. To get rid of a derailleur is just going to make it a little bit more simple. I'm also wanting to try electronics. So the reason I went with this bike over my current 5-star build is just I'm wanting to move more towards electronic. In my current 5-star build from a couple years ago, it's probably not even 2 years old now, but that bike's going to be my bikepacking bike. I think I'm still trying to debate if bikepacking bike is going to be a mountain bike or a gravel bike. If it's a gravel bike, my current 5-star build is going to be my bikepacking bike. Let's talk about this bike. It's got SRAM Force 1x electronic, and I'm switching to electronic on 2 of my bikes right now. My dream build mountain bike, which I may have already released that video by now, and then my gravel bike. I still have 2 bikes that are mechanical, but as I mentioned in my dream build project, I just want to give electronic a full rundown. I've never had a personal bike that's electronic shifting until now. Now I have 2. And so, yeah, I'm just wanting to go electronic. And listen, the simplicity of the setup of electronic is phenomenal. You bolt on the derailleur, you pair it. Pairing it takes 10 seconds. You do the micro trim, lining up with a cog, that takes 10 seconds. And then you adjust the limit screws, which takes a minute. So 2 minutes, you've got a rear derailleur completely set up. And yeah, I love that. Now, of course, I got to charge the battery, but I don't know, I just really like the way electronic shifting is on a gravel bike. I've had a demo bike with it, and you know, one side is downshift and one side is upshift, and it works really well. I really like it. I'm gonna go over the components, and that's what I do in my first look videos, is I will just go over the components and show them up close. I have not ridden the bike. As soon as I finish this video, I'm gonna go change clothes and do an after work ride on this bike. I'm stoked about it. But to sum it up, the main differences between my older 5-star build and this one is going to be, of course, the components and then the wheels. So my other bike has Zip 303s. This one has Stan's Grails. I've actually never used the Stan's Grail carbon wheels. That's the CB7. I'm kind of stoked about trying these. I think these wheels are going to be more compliant than my Zip 303s on the other bike, but we'll see. So I'll just show you the components up close real quick. Because my other bike was the green color, I wanted to go with the red. And I'll tell you, this red to me looks even better in person than it does on the website. I thought it looked good on the website. The silver logo matched with the SRAM Force cranks, it looks really good. And I just love the simplicity of electronic shifting. Just no cables run except for the brake cables. Really clean look. Of course, the RLT9 RDO, the RDO is the carbon model, has a carbon fork with a carbon steerer tube. And this bike was really easy to put together. I really like the way that the brake cable runs through the frame super easily. I've mentioned it before. The Niner cable routing is the best in the business now. Didn't used to be like that many, many years ago, but now it is so easy to run cables through these bikes. So that's the frame. Now let's talk about, I'll look at the cockpit first. The only change that I made other than stock is the saddle. So I went with my tried and true WTB Silverado, especially for long gravel rides. It is the most comfortable saddle. Still got some fiber grip paste or some grease on that seat post. So carbon seat post, Niner's RDO carbon seat post, has a little bit of flex to it. And what I really like about the 5-star build is the handlebars. It's an Easton with a flare. It's a carbon bar. Carbon bars on a gravel bike really improve the precision of the steering and the comfort. It's not dramatic, but I do notice the difference. And I like these bars with the flare. As you can see, I've got all my components on it ready to go ride. So SRAM force, shifters, and brake levers. I went out and seated in the brake pads, and I can tell you these brakes have a lot of power. Even off the initial break-in period, they felt really good modulation. And the bleed process, by the way, on these is excellent. It's got the bleeding edge tool technology. So on the caliper end, all you have to do is pop in the syringe and there's no drip. I like mineral oil, but I really like SRAM's bleed process. Even though they use dot fluid, you can get it to where it doesn't drip. So it's got a SRAM force rear derailleur. Of course, it's AXS. And then the cassette. So this has, since it's a 1x, it has SRAM's Explorer cassette. And it's a 10-44. So their Explorer cassettes are pretty much a cross between their full-blown, Eagle mountain bike cassettes and their road cassettes. So the road cassettes are like a 32 or a 36 max. This is a 44, so you've got that bigger gear range. I told you I'm eating my words, and I'm going to try this because I actually prefer 2x systems with the cassettes being tighter. Worst case scenario is, since I live in a flatter area, I can get a 36 cassette, but we'll give this a fair shakedown. So that's what the Explorer is all about. It is a 12-speed, so 10-44, 12-speed cassette. And then the cranks on this, since it's force, and if you're not familiar with SRAM's line of road components, the top is red and then force, and then rival, and then apex is at the bottom. So force is the second to highest in their line of road components. And the front chainring on this is a 38 tooth, and the cranks are carbon. And then for wheels and tires, I mentioned they come with the Grail CB7s, which is a carbon wheel set. I'm a huge fan of Stan's wheels. Unfortunately, for the mountain bike line, I think we're seeing them get away from carbon, which kind of bums me out, really bums me out. But I'm really stoked to try these gravel carbon wheels. And don't quote me on the mountain bike. Like, I talked to some of them and they're not sure yet the direction they're headed, but that's why I went with Industry 9 on my dream build mountain bike, by the way. I didn't really mention that in the video. And then for tires, the Schwalbe G1s, I've used these a lot of miles I put on these tires. And these are the 45C version. I'm really glad this bike came with 45Cs and not 40. So that just gives a little bit more cushion and goes through the sand easier. And then in case you're curious of my add-ons, I use Garmin Rally pedals. So it's a power meter pedal. I use these Look Carbon water bottle cages. I use this seat pack that I really like from KOM Cycling that has a Garmin mount on the back. And then on the cockpit, I've got my Garmin out front mount. And then I've got my Peak Design phone holder. Love this thing. And then this mirror. I can't say what this is because it's still kind of under embargo, so to speak, but I'm testing this out and I really like this mirror. I'll be doing a review on this once I can announce what the brand is. Still in the test period. So there you go, the new 5-star build as it comes today from Niner. Really excited about getting out in a little bit. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm getting ready to head out for a ride. And then in another probably 2 months, I'll post a review of this bike. Stay tuned to the channel for that video and so many more good ones. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so. Any questions or comments so far about this bike, let me know and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.